Welcome. You are entering the Stone Zone. President Donald Trump today hailed his chief of staff. She is the first woman to serve as the White House chief of staff, Susie Wiles. Let's listen to the president.
Susie, the most powerful woman in the world, they say.
I agree with that.
I agree.
Now, the job of White House Chief of Staff is an extraordinarily difficult one, and Susie Wiles has come in for her share of praise and criticism. Much of the criticism, I think, unfounded. It's kind of, they hate us because they ain't us. I mean, I've known President Trump's campaign manager, Susie Wiles, for over 30 years. And I must tell you, these claims on the internet, these ornate charts showing that she's a globalist affiliated with the World Economic Forum, or that she carries water for Big Pharma or any special interest within Trump's orbit, is categorically false. She did at one time work for Mercury, a well-known lobbying firm. She was never a stakeholder or a partner or an equity holder, but she did not represent Pfizer, as been widely reported. In fact, she hasn't represented as a lobbyist any pharmaceutical company. She also, prior to that, owned her own small public affairs firm, and she didn't represent any foreign countries or pharmaceutical firms or defense contractors there. The reason she is so good at her job is that she has no agenda other than the agenda of her boss, Donald J. Trump. But when you are the gatekeeper, you have to say no to a lot of people. H.R. Bob Haldeman, who really set up the modern White House staff system used by every president since then, was called the abominable no man because, of course, the blame can never be put on the president when he doesn't want to see you. Susie Wiles has done an extraordinary job of representing Donald Trump and having a very smooth-running, virtually leak-free White House. That has never happened before either. But if you look at Susie Wiles' pedigree, you learn a great deal more. First of all, she is the daughter of the legendary sportscaster Pat Summerall. And through her entire political career, rather than work for the establishment, she has always worked for the outsider. She and I worked together in Ronald Reagan's campaign in 1980. She could have gone to work for George H.W. Bush. She declined. She was at the helm of Rick Scott's campaign for governor of Florida. Rick Scott was an absolute outsider opposed by the Florida Republican establishment. Like Trump, a businessman. Once again, she successfully helmed the campaign of the outsider. In 2016, Susie Wiles could have gone to work for Governor Jeb Bush or Senator Marco Rubio, both of whom she's friendly with, but she ended up working for President Donald Trump. And I can tell you that Trump's narrow victory in Florida is due to the skillful management of resources by Susie Wiles. Now, Susie Wiles is also the most recent White House Chief of Staff who really eschews the spotlight. I think I've only seen her do one interview in the last year. She is press shy. She does not talk on the record to reporters, and that makes her a bit mysterious, I suspect. She's also very hard to read. I mean, when Susie Wiles looks at you, you don't know whether she's about to kneecap you or bake you a casserole. She is deadly efficient, fiercely loyal to the president. She has a superb judgment. And for those who say that she's somehow acted on behalf of Big Pharma, you'd be interested to know that it was really Susie Wiles, more than any other individual person, who helped put together the alliance of Robert F. Kennedy Jr. And the Maha people and Donald Trump. In fact, Susie Wiles was a proponent of Calley Means and her book long before I ever heard of Calley Means or the fact that he was friends with Donald Trump. The other notable thing, of course, is in 2018, Susie Wiles managed the campaign to Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. She did that at President Trump's request only, in my opinion, to be treated most shabbily by Governor DeSantis and his wife after his razor-thin win. DeSantis won by 25,000 votes out of 8.9 cast. Wiles was briefly banished from the DeSantis circle and from the state Republican Party and the Trump 2020 re-election for reasons that neither Wiles nor DeSantis has ever publicly commented on. I told Politico at that time, I think Susie Wiles' unique understanding of Ron DeSantis and his wife and their limitations gave Donald Trump a key edge in defeating this ungrateful, treacherous, backstabbing ingrate, Ron DeSantis. I'm sure Ron DeSantis was shocked when President Donald Trump turned to Susie Wiles in 2023 to bring her back not only as his chief of staff, but as the architect, along with Chris LaCivita and my good friend Tony Fabrizio, with the most stunning political comeback in American history. So if anybody asks you who is Susie Wiles, I'll tell you who she is. She's a winner. She excels in management skills. Her budgeting expertise and understanding how to budget a presidential campaign so you have money when you need it is among her forte, but above all, it is her loyalty. I can tell you that she is loyal to the president, and she carries out his wishes. And perhaps sometimes she gets the blame for decisions she did not make, but she is by far, I think, perhaps the greatest White House chief of staff that we've had. And that includes not only Bob Haldeman, but Sherman Adams, a number of legendary chiefs of staff. Now you know who Susie Wiles is.